Did you know that some cars have normal names in their home countries, but in other languages those names can sound strange, embarrassing, or even offensive? In today's video, I'm going to show you 7 real cars that went through this around the world. Get ready because some of these names are unbelievable. Let's get started. Number 7. Mitsubishi Pajero. This is a very famous SUV used both in the city and off-road and sold in many countries around the world. In Japan, where it was created, the name Pajero is completely normal and never caused any problems. The problem starts when the car arrives in Spanish-speaking countries. In Spanish, Pajero is slang used to refer to someone who masturbates, which makes the name quite embarrassing in that language. Imagine driving a car like that in a country where people speak Spanish and everyone understands the name in a completely different way. It's pretty awkward, right? Because of this, in several markets, Mitsubishi decided to change the model's name to Montero, precisely to avoid jokes and uncomfortable situations. This is one of the most famous cases in the history of problematic car names. Number 6. Mazda Laputa. This is a compact car sold in Japan, mainly for urban use. There, the name Laputa is completely normal and has no negative meaning. In fact, it was inspired by a floating city from a famous story in the country. The problem appears when this name is seen in Spanish and Portuguese-speaking countries. In Spanish, it sounds very similar to a word used as an insult, related to the oldest profession in the world. In other words, it's the kind of word you usually don't say in public, much less associate with a car. In Portuguese, the sound also reminds people of something similar, so it ends up being awkward in the same way. Imagine saying the name of this car out loud on the street. A lot of people would definitely give you strange looks. Even though it was never the brand's intention, the name ends up causing embarrassment in many countries. This is yet another example of how a small linguistic detail can turn into a big problem. Number 5. Toyota MR2. This is a very well-known sports car, especially among fans of Japanese cars. It became famous for its compact design, good performance, and fun driving experience. In many countries, the name MR2 never caused any problems. But in France, the story is different. When French people pronounce MR2 in their way, it sounds very similar to the word merde, which literally means shit. In other words, without meaning to, the car's name ended up sounding like shit car to many people there. Imagine saying the name of your sports car and everyone understanding it that way. Even though it's an excellent car, this detail became a joke in some places. It's another example of how pronunciation can completely change the meaning of a name. Number 4. Nissan Moko. This is a small compact car sold in Japan, mainly for city use. It's small, economical, and designed for people who want practicality in their daily lives. In its home country, the name Moco sounds cute and friendly, there's nothing wrong with it. But in Spanish, the word moco means nasal mucus. That gross stuff nobody likes, but everyone knows. So, without meaning to, Nissan ended up naming a car after dried snot. Imagine saying, "I bought a new Moco." It sounds kind of strange, right? Even though it's not offensive, the name ends up being a bit disgusting for people who speak those languages. It's another example of how an innocent name can turn into something weird in another country. Number 3. Audi e-tron. This is a modern, high-tech, and very expensive electric car, focused on luxury and innovation. Audi created this model to compete with the biggest electric cars in the world, offering lots of comfort, technology, and performance. In almost every country, the name e-tron sounds futuristic and sophisticated. But here comes France again on the list. Yes, once again, it almost feels like they're being targeted. In French, e-tron sounds very similar to the word étron, which is an informal way to talk about feces. Basically, it reminds people of poop. So this is already the second car in this video that ends up being associated with crap in France. French people must really suffer with these names. Imagine buying a luxury car like this and then finding out that its name becomes a joke in your own language. Even though it was never Audi's intention, it ended up being awkward there. Number 2. Volkswagen Jetta. This is a very well-known sedan all over the world, famous for its comfort, performance, and reliability. In many countries, the name Jetta sounds strong and elegant, matching the car's image perfectly. However, in some Spanish-speaking countries, especially in certain regions, the pronunciation of Jetta can sound similar to a slang term used to refer to the male organ. In other words, depending on how someone says it, the name can end up being embarrassing. even though that was never the brand's intention. Imagine talking about your car in a normal conversation and everyone understanding something completely different. It's not a problem everywhere, but it's another example of how small differences in pronunciation can completely change the meaning of a word. Number 1. Chevrolet Nova. This is a classic car, especially popular in the United States in past decades. It was created to be simple, affordable, and economical, and it was quite successful at the time. The name Nova was chosen to convey the idea of something new, modern, and innovative. But in Spanish-speaking countries, the name No VA can be understood as "it doesn't go," meaning something that doesn't work or doesn't run. Basically, it sounds like the car itself is saying it's useless. Imagine buying a car called Doesn't Go. That's definitely not the best advertising in the world, right? Even though many people today say this has become more of an urban legend, the fact is that the name has always been a source of jokes in many countries. That's why it deserves first place on the list. So, which of these names did you find the strangest? Leave a comment below and tell me which one surprised you the most. And if you want a part 2 with more bizarre cars from around the world, make sure to like this video and write part 2 in the comments, and I'll bring the continuation for you. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Thanks for watching and see you next time.